ESPN Cleveland's Tony Grossi, longtime Browns beat reporter. What he's hearing from his brethren that cover rival AFC North teams about the Browns.
I'm detecting, look out for the Browns sentiment, as we get closer to training camp and preseason. So I hope they stay on the radar as much as we think they are, because I think that benefits the Browns. But there is, there's no getting around. The roster is pretty darn good. So I think anybody can see that. It's just like the naysayers say, well, they're the Browns. They'll screw it up. Well, those who don't have that opinion look at the Browns roster and say, what about this team? Jeez, oh man, look at this. So I think there's a little bit of momentum going, but it's not going to topple Cincinnati and Baltimore as the favorites.
And Quincy, I get why Cincinnati and Baltimore would be, considered the favorites. But it's very interesting as you get closer and closer to training camp, you start to hear some of the national people, some of the ex-players. I think the thing that you won't be able to tell a lot from early in training camp or the preseason, those joint practices with the Eagles are going to be what you want to listen for. Last year, when we heard it, we heard, man, the Dolphins are way ahead of the Browns. And that was like, oh.
Yeah, I think also it's interesting, right? Because I've said this for weeks, and I'll keep saying it. If you look back at this team since 2018, the only thing that's been holding them back from being a good team consistently is consistent quarterback play. Even in the individual samples, when Baker Mayfield played good, we usually won those games, right? Like, it wasn't like Baker Mayfield was overcoming bad performances or anything else, or a bad roster. If he played decently, we would win. If Jacoby Brissett played decently, we would usually win those football games. When the quarterback play is good here, we're going to win these games. The question is Deshaun Watson going to be the one that brings that consistent season-long quarterback play to this roster? Because we know the roster's good. The league knows the roster. The roster been good since 2018. They know the roster's good. The question that you've always had with the Cleveland Browns is, well, what they got going at quarterback? And when it was Baker Mayfield, it was easy to hand-wave that away. When it's Jacoby Brissett, it's easy to hand-wave that away. Now, the difference between the national media and how media is covering it now versus like how teams actually think is, teams don't have the luxury of letting how they feel about a situation dictate how they prepare about a situation. They might not feel great things about Deshaun Watson personally, but they also know that that's still Deshaun Watson. So they have to prepare as if that's still him. And if because you've played against the Browns the last 5 years, that the roster's been good, the quarterback play's been the only thing that's been holding them back, and now Deshaun Watson's getting a whole season, you'd be a fool to be in the AFC North and to not anticipate that the Browns would be probably a really good team, because everything logical in front of you tells you that that's the only thing they needed, and this is the best chance that they've had in franchise history almost of having that at quarterback, and they took a big swing at it with Deshaun. So that makes a ton of sense to me that teams within the AFC North are pretty high on the Cleveland Browns, where some people might not, because they know, like we know here, quarterback play has been the issue. And if that answer gets solved, let alone if that becomes a strength of this team, like it could be with Deshaun Watson, who knows how far this team can go.